everybody from the world of quantlabs.net. Some of you may know I have been looking very in an excited way at this algo trader project here, which is a Google Code project. I must say it looks quite interesting. It is complicated. There's nothing simple about it, that's for sure. In essence, I do think this is a really sophisticated platform to work from. It is not for somebody who's new to Java. It is not meant for somebody who's new at programming. You have to have a fairly advanced knowledge of it. So let's talk about the general features. Again, I'm really new to this, but I have spent a good number of hours looking at it. It's 100% in Java. And basically how it works is it's more of a trading framework. It's no front end, there's no GUI, there's nothing like that. It's all done through Eclipse, which is the IDE and development environment for Java. That's how you interface with the framework itself. I'll show you some places where to go to see how that works. But basically you have your trading framework, and then you have your number of strategies can run in parallel on top of the trading framework. Basically, the components that are needed are Java, Eclipse, as I said, the IDE. It's using a lot of XML, things like Spring, Hibernate, other popular Java frameworks, as well as the MYSQL for the database persistence. But it doesn't stop there. There is some other areas that you should be paying attention to. The development for all the strategies is using this what we call a model-driven architecture, using this open source framework called Andro MDA. I'll show that in a bit as well. And also to enable all these different strategies to run in parallel, it's using this other project called Esper, which is fairly known, complex event processing engine. So I'll talk about that in a little bit as well. So if that doesn't scare you enough, I don't know what will. But it is very extensive. As you know, I've been looking for some good documentation, quick start videos, whatever. Here's my suggestions to get you started in this. If you come into the Google, the URL's code.google.com/p/algo-trader. In there, you'll find popular documentation right here. Do not start with the documentation. I mean, you could read that over, fairly quickly, but I would definitely, I've mentioned this before, to watch these 3 videos. These are found on MediaFire, so you have to download them. In total, they're about probably close to 3 hours in total. They'll give you an overview how the project works, how to develop obvious strategies and work with live strategies as well. It is pretty intense what you'll learn, but it's very, very extensive, and these are important. So let me show you this algo trader document. So that's part of it. As I said, there's all these different components that you'll need to work with. The one tool that they use for your UML, which is your Universal Modeling Language, is Magic Draw, which is basically a tool that enables you to visually diagram your models and what they call entities. And you have your tables, and, well, not really tables, but they're just relationships between the entities and what methods are used to call those entities. So I don't even know where to start. Okay, so I'm hoping you know what Eclipse is, Java, we all know that. So just so everybody knows, for those that know Java, um, the Andrew MDA as well as the this algo trader heavily relies on Maven, which is part of the building process of and part of the conversion engine for the Andrew MDA. So you need to kind of understand that as well. I didn't say this was going to be easy, did I? And then we talked about Hibernate, velocity, and then there's this check style for Eclipse. These documents will explain what velocity is and Eclipse. The advantage with Hibernate, using Hibernate, obviously, is I'm assuming that you have the ability to change your database type from, let's say, MySQL to Oracle to whatever you want, as long as Hibernate can connect to it through a dialect. And that's that. Okay, so let me show you the MDA. Okay, so the Andrew MDA is kind of confusing at the beginning. I'm going to try to briefly give you an idea of what it really is. Essentially, under here, under the document I just showed you, there's this section here on Andrew MDA. Let me find it here. Right here, under UML mode and code generation. I would go through all these little tutorials to give you an idea of what Andrew MDA is. But essentially, if you come to the website, andrewmda.org, what it does, it enables you to, let me just see if, no. If you go through this little bird's eye view page, it'll probably kind of give you an idea of how it works. Essentially, as I said, you visually build your model, and then what you do through your let me just pull up my my Eclipse here. That might be easier for people to kind of get it. Just so those that know, with the Eclipse, if you come under the Juno's, quite a nice little version of Eclipse. I kind of like it. Just as a side note, as a brain teaser, I guess. So, as we wait for the Eclipse to load up, yeah, essentially these are all the different components of the Andrew MDA when you do the conversion from your UML. I wish I just had a visual of it. Okay, so here we are in our algo trader. I'm gonna look up MDA, I believe it's called. There's this POM XML file, which is really the guts of the Maven. While my Eclipse is having a conniption. Let's go back to our yeah. So yeah, you convert your diagram, your visual diagram, into using Andrew MDA, and that is done with the Maven, which does a conversion through Eclipse. All this is explained in here, and that's kind of in a nutshell what you need to know there. Moving on. Okay. Oh, yes, this is what I was looking for. Okay. So this is kind of like a representation of that UML or universal model. This is what Andy, the author or the founder of AlgoTrader, has developed. So let's say you have your entities, which could be your security family, security, your strategies, transactions, or whatever. These are your relationships between each model. And so what you're essentially doing is when you build this, which is built through Magic Draw, then you can, let's see how my Eclipse is doing, yay. Essentially, if you come under Run As and you Maven build install, Maven test, clean build, these are this is how you do the conversion and generate your code. So let's say this was fairly new. You know, you just do Run As Maven install, and it'll download all the dependencies and generate all the code for you from this chart or model, as they call it. And then you'll build all the Java code, all the getters, setters, all the stub implemented models, or sorry, methods in Java. Okay, so that's essentially how this is built. This is already predefined within the algo trader. It is, I mean, it's a lot of information here. And then we get into, which is again part of the Andrew MDA, which are these what they call services. So you could have an order service, you could have a transaction service, a rule service, a lookup service, but that's all explained in the video. Here's the relationships between the service and what which entity is involved with that particular service. Again, these are easily explained in that document here and in this algo document as well. So that's that. So let me continue along in our code. Okay, so when you have call it a shell or an empty Eclipse project, you're going to have all these dependencies, all these classes, part of the framework. These are all the jar files needed for Spring, Hibernate, Esper, XML, the Aspect J, Mail, and a bunch of other miscellaneous. So all Algo Trader projects within your Eclipse will have these dependency jar files. And also there's a blurb about the coding standards and all that. That's from the Eclipse, I can't remember what it's called, check style. There you go. This is a blurb on that. Also, so here's the Esper. Now, Esper in itself is another world as well. So, in essence, let me just go back up here. Okay, this diagram here, this trading framework, Esper is part of that. So what controls all these multiple, or allow all these multiple strategies to run in parallel is the Esper, which is again a complex event processor or an engine for that. So you can have a limitless number of strategies running in parallel, set up all these different listeners and subscription, and run it through an SQL and blah 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 blah. It's another world of complications. I've never worked with it, but I do know Esper is fairly popular in the world of HFT. It's popular in the world of financial systems. Not only that, but I know some big companies are using it. Just checking online today. He's using it at Raytheon, Siemens. You know, a lot of big industries use this Esper in their Java applications, be it running on web spheres or whatnot. So this is definitely used in the enterprise. This is something that is not built out of a garage. All right, so let me just load up our Esper project or website. So obviously you got, when you come to the site codehouse.org with the Esper, you will come across your description what Esper is, but yeah, you should definitely read that. But there's also this tutorial, read that. And this is where it gets interesting because it will explain what Esper does, and also there's the EPL statements for your Esper streams, call them that, which are like SQL statements. There's a good explanation of what they mean. There's different types of windows, name windows, and all these different naming conventions and whole set of vocabulary that you kind of will learn. So that's Esper, and that is where you actually build your strategies in. In my case, I probably change that around. I'm not sure yet. Where obviously I want my R to interact here somewhere when I do my analytics, because I'll definitely have R models. All right, so yeah. So again, this is where your strategy development takes place, is right within the Esper. Now, Esper also interacts with your database, so that, let's say here's the typical your entity relationship model I just showed you, but a database model does come out of this, or a schema does come out of this, and these are some of the tables that you will definitely work with: strategy, take bar, transaction, position, security family. So there's a description of what each table does. It's kind of important because this is all done behind the scenes with Algo Trader. That's a really nice thing about it. I kind of like that, where you don't have to worry about any of that stuff. When you're working with other platforms, they don't have this built in, with the exception maybe, well, actually all of them will. Obviously, the .NET one doesn't, that I've mentioned before, TradeLink, and that doesn't really work with any internal database. But this database is used for recording transactions or ticks and so on and so forth. So you can go pretty crazy with the MySQL there. All right, so there's the instructions on how to build it. There's these 4 projects that are built within your Eclipse. These are also generated. Remember I showed you how to compile or generate the code for your Andrew MDA. These are the exact instructions. Go to a particular project, do a run as, a Maven install, just like this. Run as, Maven install, and that will again download all your dependencies and build and generate that code. So you just do a refresh. That should compile everything else. Do your typical install. There's a really simple algo trader SQL there that you can run to create your tables. He's even cool enough to give you a way to create your own MySQL user. And then he gets into the actual usage, showing how to use the strategies. I haven't done this yet, but the nice thing is that this project does work with and connect into interactive brokers. So this does work with interactive brokers. It does interact with the TWS, the Trade Workstation software. Just make sure you follow these configuration. Is your head bleeding yet from all the complexities of this platform? I haven't even gotten into really complicated stuff yet. I feel for you, but this is a free platform. It is very sophisticated. What I'm about to show you is, and if I'm just looking at my little thing here on the side, we're not even halfway. Okay, these are just the very high level uses of Algo Trader. It is, as I said, very complex. Oh, okay, so let's take a minute, 5-second breather here. Okay, so strategy development. So this is a typical development life cycle that you would go through your strategy development. Obviously, we don't need to go through that. And these are all the different artifacts you'll find in the Eclipse projects that are built. To show you an example of that in the Eclipse here. So we have this one that they're referring to, this Algo Trader Lite move. Oh, before I continue, you might see Algo Trader Lite. That does not mean that there's this free version and there's a commercial version. From what Andy has referred to in some of the community postings, this Lite is really meaningless. He's going to take that out eventually, so there really is no free versus paid version. The only difference is the history of Algo Trader. Is he's part of a company out of out of Switzerland, and they built this whole platform in-house. And they have a proprietary version, which obviously they're not going to release with some of the strategies that they work on, as well as that's their proprietary version. But this is the core of it that works. So for them to be kind enough to release this and open source, it's quite the achievement. And I think we, the peons in the world of trader wannabes, should be on our knees thanking him for that. But it's a big effort, and this platform is in flux, major development, and it seems to be getting some high-profile developers to contribute, which is really good too. Moving on. Alright, so these are all the artifacts. Here's the implementation. Now, for those that may be unfamiliar with the world of implementation versus base class and object-oriented programming, obviously there's the base, or the parent, and then there's the concrete methods and all those method class, or concrete classes we'll call them, that are the implementation of the parent or base. I don't know what language you come from, but in the world of Java, it's parent and child. So these are the child, these are the concrete classes, and these are where you put your, what we call business logic into your project, where you start trying to implement your custom code to do whatever you do in your strategy. A lot of work still. Alright, so this is all again explained in those videos. I'm just doing a real crash course, and I'm hoping I haven't scared anybody off yet. But we shall see about that. But if you're really serious about trading, this is a good platform, very advanced. So we have our different services I mentioned before. We have our position, lookup service, blah 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 blah. All this stuff interacts with Esper, because you need to register it. Then we have the business method on what do we do with the strategy. What are we going to do? Set your data. It's a market order implementation. Do your position. You have a position. If it gets filled, create your ID for it. Build your margin. Set your exit value. All that good stuff. So here's where the excitement comes in. Now this EPL is that Esper query language I was going on about, all this stuff. So this is all where your actual strategy resides. Now the nice thing about this is, let's say if I substitute what I do in my EPL, I could probably do the same thing in R. Everything else is handled. The positioning, the portfolio management, all that stuff is handled within the Java, and handled all within these classes as well. So I kind of do like that. I'm a little experimental on the R side. I have introduced people to rcaller. Let me just show you a good reference for that. If you go to rcaller, that's how you you call R from Java through this R package. So that to me right now is very experimental. I'm just mentioning that right now. Okay, so you do have your EPL. You define your indicators, and you also can, if you're a technical trader, you can access your TA lib through examples like this. You can also set your different configuration for that strategy, and then you set up your Esper data. And then obviously you have a strategy for in your database. Okay, so that's all explained here, and it's also pretty well explained in the video too. So we can also do obviously backtesting, simulation testing. Nice thing about it is when you finish running the backtest, again in the video, you get all these standard stats for your month. Sharp ratio, standard deviation stuff, best month, drawdown, so on and so forth. Here's your parameters. Set your go from live trading to simulation. Set that to false to do live trading. Okay, now we get, like I said, get into the broker interfaces. Okay, so the only two that really work at this point are Fix and Interactive Brokers. So there is one for IB, and then there's the one for Fix. From what I understand, if I'm an LMAX kind of guy, that this can be done using their Fix implementation or their Fix API to connect into LMAX. Who knows where else you may connect into, but those are your two choices right now. And yes, this Fix supposedly works for unlike some other platforms out there. Here's the diagram of how the order is executed. From what I understand, for those low latency turnaround time, it's 150 milliseconds. I don't know if that's fast or not. That might be standard. Okay, there's an exchange simulator, but wait, there's more. Okay, I have talked about our famous web curve simulator, web curve sim. This is where that may come into play, and you may be able to connect with it in using this Fix, because it's using quick FixJ as well. So that is very cool. Now, if that's not the case, you can still, in a new Eclipse project, be able to have the two talk to each other, creating client test apps. Have one that goes against an exchange server within your web curve sim using their exchange jar file, and then building your client test cases, and then having your strategies go up against it. Very powerful architecture. Very powerful. Very powerful. All right, so we got our market data. This is again all through Esper again, so you can do these crazy queries. And it can tell the difference between a bar, which I didn't know this, is the open, high, low, close, and your ticks, which may come in from somewhere like open through IQ feeds is a good example. Now, this is the disadvantage with it, is that how do you connect into your ticks live in real time? That still needs to be decided. Which blows, because that is a good advantage with the trade link, but there may be a way to do that. Who knows? Okay. So moving on. I might try and figure that out with the IQ feed. Okay, so this is the format of a tick, configuration. Okay, so let's say you have a strategy, and you have a strategy family. You can have the same strategy run in parallel, but run against different market securities. Well, you can do that through this, to set up this strategy family, which obviously Andy's done in his environment. Alright, so moving into the locators, bean factories, application, I'll let you figure all that stuff out. The remoting's done through RMI, so you can have multiple I guess JVMs running remotely, still connecting to each other through RMI. Aspect J is part of the RMI. There's one little thing that we have not talked about. Let's see. Okay, this is really good. Okay, so we've talked about the database strategy. Now, this is kind of exciting. In your database, you could set up a watch list in the database. So, using Esper, you can basically insert a security or market asset to watch. From that point, once Esper, because it's listening, will see that get inserted, it will then trigger an event. So let's say that event could be a strategy to do something. So let's say if we have a stock screening process, again, Java, we could have that screener insert a security on what it wants to watch. So let's say we have a certain set of equities that meet certain conditions on a technical indicator level, and then we insert it into here in real time. It'll enable the Esper to trigger a strategy that we might set up in the algo trader. So that is a very powerful feature. I've been struggling on how to do that from an architecture point of view with my previous setup. But I think that that's how it can be done. So that, in a nutshell, if you're still around at the end of this video, algo trader, very powerful, very sophisticated, using mainstream frameworks. It is good for the ability to trade with, until I found a little blurb that kind of scared me. It doesn't matter. Alright, so that's pretty well it in a nutshell. I'm going to start digging through the code, but this is the architecture of it. This took a good day and a half for me. I've been working in Java for many years, and new to Esper, new to this. I never even heard of Andrew MDA, but apparently that's used at Siemens as well. But researching it looks pretty good. The documentation, but you know, I was able to quickly understand it. Better than some other projects that I've looked at. All in all, I think this has enormous potential.